My name is Lauren Evans. I'm 31 years old, a fire captain in a mid-sized city, and for most of my adult life, I've run toward danger for a living. What's ironic is that I completely missed the five-alarm fire burning inside my own relationship. I've been with the department for 8 years. I love my job. I love my crew. I believed, truly believed, I loved my boyfriend, Ethan Parker. Past tense didn't feel real yet, not at the beginning. We met 2 years ago at a coffee shop near the station. I was in uniform, soot still under my nails from a long shift. Ethan was sitting alone, reading, not staring at me like most guys do when they notice the badge or the jacket. When I told him I was a firefighter, he didn't call me a hero. He didn't joke about fires or say something awkward. He just smiled and said, "That's cool. It must feel good to do something that actually matters." That line stayed with me. The first 10 months were easy. Real. Ethan brought me dinner when I worked late. He laughed with my crew when he stopped by the station. He posted photos of us, not flashy ones, just quiet moments with captions about pride and partnership. My mom adored him. My sister Natalie said he grounded me. I thought I'd found someone who fit into my life instead of trying to redesign it. Then, around month 11, something shifted. At first, it was small enough to ignore. "Your place is fine," Ethan said one night, looking around our apartment. "But don't you ever want more?" I laughed it off. Then it became comparisons. "Your colleague Maya lives in a way nicer building. People in my circle usually don't stay in neighborhoods like this. That truck of yours is practical, but don't you ever feel embarrassed pulling up to nicer places?" He always said we deserve better. We should be living differently. When I pointed out that my job paid well, but not extravagantly, Ethan would tilt his head like I was missing the point entirely. My best friend on the crew noticed first. "Lauren," Maya said during a late-night meal after shift, "can I ask you something without you getting mad?" I told her yes. "You and Ethan split things 50-50, right?" she asked. "Mostly," I said. Maya frowned. "Then how is he affording all that designer stuff he posts?" I defended him immediately. Discounts, side work, smart investing. But the question stuck. The lifestyle expectations kept growing. Ethan would sigh dramatically at restaurants I picked. He'd go quiet if I suggested cooking at home. "Don't you want me to feel valued?" he'd ask. So I worked more. Double shifts, holidays, overtime I didn't need before. My battalion chief even pulled me aside once. "Everything okay financially, Evans? You've been picking up a lot." I smiled and said yes. That's when I started mistaking exhaustion for commitment. And that's where the fire really started. Quietly, patiently, waiting for me to notice. The problem with fires you don't see is that they don't announce themselves with flames. They start with heat. A little discomfort you explain away. A little smoke you pretend is just the weather. By the time you notice you can't breathe, you're already trapped. After Maya's question, I told myself I'd watch more closely, not because I didn't trust Ethan, but because I didn't want to feel stupid later. That was my first mistake. Ethan didn't need me to trust him blindly. He just needed me to doubt everyone else. It started at my mom's barbecue. Nothing fancy, just a normal Saturday, paper plates, smoke from the grill, my mom's loud laugh, carrying down the backyard like it always did. Ethan showed up late, stepping out of a rideshare I didn't recognize. Something sleek. Something expensive. He adjusted his sunglasses like he was arriving at a rooftop lounge instead of my mom's suburban driveway. "Work thing," he said quickly when I raised an eyebrow. "My car's been acting weird. I didn't want to risk it." His car ran perfectly every time I saw it. But I didn't say that. I didn't want to start something at my mom's. During the barbecue, Ethan barely spoke to anyone. He smiled when they spoke to him, but it didn't reach his eyes. His attention kept drifting to his phone, thumb scrolling like he was waiting for something more important than my family. My mom tried. "So, Ethan," she said, setting down a tray of ribs, "Lauren tells me you've been working really hard too." Ethan gave a polite laugh. "Yeah, I like to be around ambitious people, people who don't settle." The word settle hung in the air. My older sister Natalie caught it. I saw it in the way her smile tightened. Later, when Ethan wandered off to take a call, Natalie cornered me near the lemonade cooler. "What's his deal?" she whispered. "Stress," I said. "He's just going through a phase." Natalie's eyes didn't soften. "Lauren, that wasn't stress. That was contempt." I felt my chest tighten, like my turnout gear was strapped too tight. "Natalie," I said, forcing a laugh, "it's not that serious." She didn't laugh back. "I'm not trying to sabotage anything," she said. "I'm trying to protect you. He talks like your life is something he tolerates." I wanted to argue. I wanted to shut it down. But before I could, Ethan came back, smiling too widely, slipping his hand into mine like he hadn't just walked away from my family like they were background noise. That night, on the drive home, he criticized the neighborhood around my mom's house. "People live like that and just accept it," he said, staring out the window. "I can't relate." I gripped the steering wheel harder. "That's where we grew up." Ethan's voice stayed calm. "I know. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying, don't you want more than what you had?" He said it like he was offering me a gift, but it felt like he was setting a trap. The next warning came from my neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, a retired nurse who had lived in my building long enough to know everyone's schedule better than we did. She caught me by the mailboxes one morning. "Captain Evans," she said, eyes glittering with that polite nosiness older women master like an art form. "Your boyfriend has fancy friends." I blinked. "What?" She leaned in slightly. "I've seen expensive cars dropping him off. Not ride shares, real cars. A white Mercedes, a black Bentley. I thought maybe he got a promotion." My stomach dropped, but I forced a smile. "He's probably meeting clients," I said. Mrs. Delgado gave me the kind of look nurses give patients who lie about their symptoms. "Honey," she said softly, "I'm not judging. I'm just telling you what I see." I nodded, thanked her, walked upstairs, and immediately felt sick. When Ethan came home that night, I brought it up carefully. "Mrs. Delgado said she's seen some expensive cars dropping you off." His expression didn't flicker. Not surprise, not confusion, just annoyance. "She's watching me," he said. "She's not watching you," I replied quickly. "She just noticed." Ethan tossed his keys on the counter. "That's creepy. Your neighbors are creepy." He didn't deny it. He just changed the target. "I told you," he said, loosening his tie. "I've been networking. You don't understand how the world works outside your station. Connections matter." My mouth opened, then shut, because I didn't want him to accuse me of being unsupportive. And that was the second trap. Ethan didn't yell when he manipulated. He used calm disappointment, like I was failing a test I didn't even know I was taking. The next week, Maya texted me in the middle of my shift. "Maya, where are you right now?" "ME. On duty. Why?" A few minutes later, a photo appeared. Ethan, sitting in a dim, expensive-looking restaurant booth. Candlelight, white tablecloth. A woman next to him in a red dress, laughing at something he'd said. The woman's hand was on his wrist. I stared at the screen until the edges blurred. My heart wasn't racing. It was cold, like my body didn't know how to process betrayal yet. I called Maya immediately. "Lauren," she said, voice low. "I didn't want to send it, but I thought maybe you were there." "I'm at the station," I whispered. "I know," she said. "That's why I'm calling." My throat tightened. "Who is she?" Maya hesitated. "I don't know. But I've seen him around town before, always somewhere expensive, always dressed up like he's going to impress someone." My hands shook so hard I almost dropped my phone. When I got home that morning, Ethan was already there, acting like nothing happened. He kissed my cheek. "Hey babe, long shift?" I stood perfectly still. "Where were you last night?" I asked. Ethan blinked, like I'd asked something unreasonable. "Dinner," he said. "A meeting." "With a woman in a red dress?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. His face hardened. Not guilt, not fear. Anger. "Are you spying on me?" he snapped. "I'm not spying," I said, holding up my phone. "Maya saw you." Ethan's eyes narrowed. Then he laughed, soft and sharp. "Oh my God," he said. "Of course, your crew." "What does that mean?" "It means they don't want you happy," he said, stepping closer. "They're jealous. They've always been jealous that you have someone who pushes you to be better, someone who doesn't settle for firefighter small-town life." My jaw clenched. "Don't talk about my job like that." Ethan's tone went sweet, almost pitying. "Lauren, I'm not insulting you. I'm saying you're bigger than this. But you keep letting these people, your sister, your coworkers, fill your head with paranoia." He reached for my hand like he was calming a frightened animal. "You're exhausted," he whispered. "You've been working too much. Your brain is misfiring." Misfiring. Like I was the problem. Like the photo wasn't real. Like my instincts were faulty equipment. I pulled my hand away. "I'm not crazy," I said. Ethan sighed dramatically, shaking his head like I was breaking his heart. "Then prove it," he said. "Prove you trust me. Stop letting other people sabotage us." That night, I lay in bed beside him, staring at the ceiling. Ethan breathed evenly, like a man with nothing to hide. But my mind kept replaying one detail from Maya's photo. The way Ethan leaned toward that woman. Not like a man in a business meeting. Like a man performing. Like a man selling something. And the worst part? A small part of me wondered if I'd already been buying it for months. There's a moment, right before a structure collapses, where everything goes quiet. Firefighters talk about it like folklore. The sudden stillness, the unnatural calm. That's when you know the damage is already done. That's where I was with Ethan. I stopped arguing with him after that night, not because I believed him, but because I needed space to think without him rewriting reality in real time. The distance unsettled him. He started watching me the way I used to watch smoke patterns, carefully, calculating where the threat might spread. He checked my phone more often, asked who I was texting, got irritated when I worked late without warning him. "You've been distant," he said one morning, standing in the doorway while I pulled on my uniform. "Is this how you treat someone you love?" I almost laughed. Instead, I kissed his cheek and said, "Just tired." And for the first time, that wasn't a lie. The truth came in pieces, not all at once. Because if it had, I don't think I would have survived it. The first crack came from a place I didn't expect, Ethan's past. I was at the station when my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. Unknown. "You don't know me, but I think you deserve the truth." I stared at the screen for a full 30 seconds before replying. "Emmy, who is this?" A pause, then, "Unknown. I worked with Ethan. A year ago. I've been debating whether to reach out." My heart started to pound, not fast, but heavy, like something sinking. "Emmy, what do you want it to tell me?" Another pause, longer this time. "Unknown. He's not who you think he is." She called me during my break. Her name was Rachel. She used to work at the same consulting firm Ethan claimed to be freelancing for. "I don't want anything from you," she said quickly, voice tight. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I watched him do this before." "Do what?" I asked, though part of me already knew. "Attach himself to women with stability," she said. "Good jobs, good credit, clean reputations. He plays the supportive partner while building connections." My grip tightened around the phone. "What kind of connections?" Rachel exhaled. "Wealthy women, divorced, lonely, status-driven. He makes them feel special, desired, exclusive." My chest burned like smoke inhalation. "You're saying he's cheating." "I'm saying," she corrected gently, "that he monetizes intimacy." I closed my eyes. Rachel continued, "He calls them clients, pretends it's networking, consulting, lifestyle advising. It's not." My mouth felt dry. "How do you know?" "Because I covered for him," she said, "until I realized what he was doing. He'd disappear during work hours, take meetings at high-end restaurants, hotels. He'd brag about the gifts, the trips, the cash." She hesitated. "And he always had a girlfriend, someone respectable, someone real. You're the cover." I leaned back against the locker, knees weak. "Cover." Rachel wasn't finished. "He told us firefighters were perfect," she said quietly. "Predictable schedules, long shifts, strong income perception, trusted by society." My stomach turned. "He said women like you don't ask questions," she added, "because you're used to trusting your partners with your lives." That one landed like a punch. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time, staring at the concrete floor. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I investigated. That night, while Ethan slept beside me, phone face down like he always insisted, I opened my laptop. I searched his name. Nothing unusual. Then I searched his email. That's when I found the second Instagram account. Not private, not hidden particularly well. Just curated. 52,000 followers. Photos of Ethan on yachts, in private lounges, first-class cabins, designer watches, champagne flutes, hotel views posted during hours I knew I'd been on shift. Captions about luxury mindset, high-value living, never settle. None of it included me. I scrolled until my hands went numb. Then I checked our shared credit card. Cash advances. Thousands. Taken out in small increments, just under the alert threshold. I hadn't authorized any of it. The emergency card, meant for fires, floods, real disasters, had been funding someone else's fantasy. I felt stupid, then angry, then something colder. The next morning, my battalion chief called me into his office. "Captain Evans," he said, smiling. "The ceremony's confirmed. Medal of Valor. Full press coverage." I nodded, barely hearing him. "You saved 3 kids," he added. "Your family coming?" "Yes," I said automatically. Ethan had been excited about the ceremony. Now I understood why. That night, I watched him get dressed carefully. Expensive jacket, polished shoes. "You nervous?" he asked, smiling at his reflection. "No," I said, "just thinking." He glanced at me. "About what?" I met his eyes in the mirror. "How easy it is to mistake charm for character." Ethan chuckled. "You always get philosophical before big events." He had no idea. I knew the truth now. About the money, the women, the manipulation. But I didn't confront him. Not yet, because the ceremony was coming. My family would be there, my crew, the city. And something in me knew, deep in my bones, that Ethan wouldn't be able to hide forever. Some people only reveal who they are when they think they've won. And Ethan thought he was about to stand in the spotlight with me. The day of the ceremony felt unreal, like I was watching my own life through thick glass. The hall was packed. Uniforms, suits, cameras, the low, constant murmur of people waiting for something meaningful to happen. My crew lined up behind me, straight-backed, proud. My mom dabbed at her eyes before anything even started. Natalie squeezed my hand like she knew I might need grounding. Ethan stood beside me, immaculate. Perfect posture, perfect smile, the kind of smile people trust. But I could feel it, an impatience rolling off him in waves. He checked his phone, shifted his weight, exhaled loudly when the speeches ran long. When the chief finally called my name, the room stood. Applause crashed over me like a wave. I stepped forward, heart pounding, hearing my rescue replayed in fragments. Smoke, heat, a child's cry, the weight of a small body in my arms. The medal felt heavier than I expected. As the chief spoke about bravery, sacrifice, and service, I glanced at Ethan. He wasn't watching me. He was watching the crowd, like he was measuring what this moment was worth. At the reception afterward, people came up nonstop. City officials, reporters, parents of the kids I'd saved. Hands shook mine, voices thanked me, cameras flashed. Ethan hovered at first, smiling for photos, slipping his arm around my waist when it served him. Then something changed. When I stopped moving, when I stayed in one place talking with my crew, Ethan's patience snapped. "This is taking forever," he muttered under his breath. I ignored him. He tapped my arm. "Lauren, I need you." I turned. "I'm talking to the chief." He rolled his eyes. That's when he raised his voice. "Loud enough." "I mean, honestly," Ethan said, laughing sharply, "how long are we supposed to stand around pretending this is glamorous?" The room quieted, not fully, but enough. I felt it before I heard it, that instinct firefighters get when a scene turns dangerous. I looked at him. Ethan wasn't angry. He was resentful. "Real success," he continued, gesturing vaguely around the room, "comes with real lifestyles, not ceremonies in neighborhoods like this." Silence. Not polite silence. Stunned silence. My mom froze mid-step. Natalie's face went white. Maya's jaw tightened so hard I thought it might crack. Ethan kept going. "I mean, let's be honest," he said, smiling like this was playful honesty. "Risking your life is admirable, sure, but it doesn't exactly pay like it should." I thought by now we'd be past this phase. This phase. I felt something inside me go very still. The chief looked between us, confused. Reporters lowered their cameras, not out of respect, but anticipation. Ethan leaned closer, voice dripping with entitlement. "I'm too good for this," he said. "For these small rooms and small ambitions. Real partners provide real lives, not just hero stories." Every word echoed. I could hear my pulse in my ears. Not panic, clarity. For months, Ethan had whispered his contempt in private. Now he'd said it out loud. To everyone. I looked at him, really looked. And for the first time, I didn't feel hurt. I felt done. I stepped back slightly, creating space between us. "Copy that," I said calmly. The words landed oddly formal, professional, like how we acknowledge difficult civilians on calls. Ethan blinked. "What?" "Copy that," I repeated, nodding once. "Message received." Then I turned. I walked away from him, from the whispers, from the room that had frozen around his arrogance. My crew closed in around me, not touching, just present. Behind me, Ethan started speaking again. Fast, defensive, but no one was listening anymore, because the fire he'd been hiding had finally broken through the walls, and everyone could see it. The fallout didn't explode. It settled, heavy and inescapable, like ash after a building collapse. I didn't go home with Ethan that night. I went back to the station. My chief didn't ask questions. He just nodded once and told the desk to clear the conference room. Maya brought me water I didn't drink. Natalie texted that she had my mom and that I didn't need to worry about anyone but myself. For the first time in months, no one tried to tell me what I should feel. Ethan, on the other hand, felt everything, loudly. The text started before I even sat down. "I didn't mean it like that. You embarrassed me by walking away. People took it out of context. You know how stressed I've been. Why are you letting them turn you against me?" I didn't respond. Instead, I did what I do when something goes wrong on scene. I assessed the damage. That night, with Union Legal Counsel on speakerphone, I opened every account tied to my name. And that's when the floor gave out. There was a credit card I hadn't opened. Applications with my signature. Almost right, but not quite. Paperwork referencing my pension. Someone had started the process of borrowing against my future. Against the job I'd almost died for. I felt sick. "Captain Evans," the lawyer said carefully, "this isn't infidelity. This is financial fraud." Hearing it named changed something. It stopped being personal, stopped being emotional. It became criminal. The next morning, Ethan showed up at the station. That was his mistake. Firefighters are loyal in a way that's hard to explain unless you've depended on someone to pull you out of smoke. When someone humiliates one of ours, publicly, during an honor ceremony, we don't forget. The desk captain intercepted him. "Lauren's not taking visitors," he said evenly. "I'm her partner," Ethan snapped. "She can't just ignore me." "She can," the captain replied, "and she is." Ethan raised his voice, accused, claimed misunderstandings, said everyone was jealous, said I was being manipulated. No one moved. Eventually, security escorted him out, still shouting, still blaming, still convinced he was the victim. Over the next few days, the truth spread faster than Ethan could rewrite it. The second Instagram account, the cash advances, the women. Rachel wasn't the only one who came forward. There were others. Women he'd promised exclusivity to. Women who thought they were special. Women who realized, too late, they were part of a rotation. And then there was the worst realization of all. I wasn't his first cover, just his most visible one. I filed a police report, sat in a sterile room explaining how someone I loved had forged my name. It felt surreal, but I didn't cry, because grief had already burned itself out. By the end of the week, the locks were changed, accounts frozen, charges disputed. Ethan tried once more. He showed up at my building crying this time, saying he'd made mistakes, saying we could fix this if I stopped listening to other people. I watched him through the door camera, and I felt nothing. "Any further contact goes through my lawyer," I said through the intercom. He stood there for a while, waiting for me to bend. I didn't, because I finally understood something important. Love doesn't ask you to set yourself on fire to keep someone else comfortable. The strange thing about surviving something like that is how quiet life becomes afterward. No constant tension, no second-guessing your instincts, no explaining away the things that don't make sense. Just silence. And then clarity. The legal process moved faster than I expected. Ethan wasn't careful. He never needed to be. He'd relied on trust, routine, and my absence during long shifts. The paper trail was clean enough that the fraud charges stuck almost immediately. That's when I learned the part that hurt in a different way. I wasn't alone. The detective assigned to my case called me a week later. "Captain Evans," he said, "we've identified at least 3 other victims. Different cities, same pattern. A marketing executive, a recently divorced attorney, a nonprofit director with impeccable credit, all women with stable lives, all women who trusted him." We testified separately, then together. Sitting in the same room, seeing the pattern laid out like a schematic, I finally understood how deliberate it had all been. The compliments, the pressure, the isolation, the guilt. It wasn't chaos. It was a system. Ethan pled guilty. Identity theft, fraud, forgery. When he spoke at sentencing, he blamed everyone but himself. Me, for being emotionally unavailable. Society, for undervaluing ambition. The justice system, for criminalizing survival. He never said sorry. That confirmed I'd made the right choice. The restitution did not cover everything, but most of it. My credit recovered. My pension stayed untouched. My future remained mine. But the real recovery wasn't financial. It was internal. I stopped picking up every extra shift, started sleeping through the night again, stopped apologizing for wanting peace. My crew noticed first. "Captain," Maya said one afternoon, "you're lighter." She was right. My family noticed next. Family dinners were easy again. No one flinched before speaking. No one waited for judgment that never came. The department asked me to speak at our annual financial wellness training. At first, I didn't want to. Then I realized if my story could keep even one firefighter from walking into the same fire blind, it mattered. So I told it, not with bitterness, with honesty, about manipulation, about charm, about how danger doesn't always come with smoke. Other departments reached out. Other firefighters, mostly women, confessed they were dealing with similar pressures. Partners who demanded more, who made them feel small, who used love as leverage. Awareness became my quiet mission. Ethan tried to contact me once more before sentencing. A letter, asking if I'd testify on his behalf, asking for understanding, asking me to soften the consequences. I didn't reply. Some bridges don't need closure. They just need to stay burned. These days, my life is simple in the best way. I come home to a place I can afford. I eat meals that don't come with guilt. I celebrate my work without someone trying to diminish it. The Medal of Valor hangs on my wall now. For a while, I couldn't look at it without remembering his voice. Now I see the kids I carried out of the smoke. I see my crew behind me, I see the version of myself who finally trusted her instincts. If you're reading this and something in your life doesn't add up, listen to that feeling. When people who love you raise concerns, hear them. When someone makes you feel guilty for stability, question it. When respect only exists in private, it's not real. I didn't lose a relationship. I escaped a fire. And this time I didn't need rescuing.